Single responsibility principle states that a class should have one responsibility. Does it mean that a class should have only one method? Of course not. Responsibility does not equal method. Let us look at an example. Let's say we have an employee class that stores employee details such as name, ID, and address. We also have get and set methods for these. Then there is also another method that calculates bonus for the employee. Now, can you pause here for a moment and think about how many responsibilities this class has? If you looked closely at these methods, one method that really stands apart from the rest is calculate bonus method. Calculating bonus cannot be part of employee's responsibility, but rather of some function within HR or finance department. The employee class here should only be responsible for storing and returning information about the employee. Here, it is evident that this method needs to be moved out into a more suitable class. We will see how it is done a little later. Let us say instead of one address, the organization decides to capture both the temporary and permanent address of its employees. This would mean that the address field in employee class needs to be replaced by two members, temporary address and permanent address, and of course get and set methods for these. Now this modification of the employee class is perfectly fine, as employee class is exactly meant to store details about an employee. Now let's consider another type of change. Let's say the organization's profit this year has drastically come down, so it decides to rework on bonus calculation method. This means employee class has to be modified for the method calculate bonus. If you observed the reasons why the employee class needs to change, it changes for two completely different reasons. One is when the information that we want to store about the employee changes. The other is when we want to change how the bonus is calculated. Which brings us to another definition of SRP. A class should have one and only one reason to change. So if you observe that a class is changing for different, sometimes unrelated reasons, then you know that the class is violating single responsibility principle.